Well, it only took a few years, but we finally got a Mephisto mention. Hello, interwebs, I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to my review of the latest episode of Agatha All Along. This one, episode 3, titled, and let me just make sure I get this right, Through Many Miles of Tricks and Trials. I don't know why I said it that way. I don't know why this is the voice I'm doing. Is this my witch voice? This is me being a witch. Okay, I'll stop that because I'm sure it's annoying. Anyways, I will say I really do enjoy these episode titles, kind of having that witchy rhyme scheme. You know, there's a lot of stuff with witches and songs and poetry, oil, boil, toil, and trouble. I probably screwed that up a little bit, but it's just like kind of fun. I will say, and sorry to bring this up so early into the review, but I always find it fascinating what the outraged merchants sort of glom onto in their sort of bad faith criticism of a show. And one that went around last week was people getting upset at the rather freaking amazing song that appeared at the end of episode 2 of Agatha All Along, and the outraged merchants like, oh, this is stupid and dumb, and I'm just sitting here being like, witchcraft is all about music. That's like it's kind of like a central thing, like oil boat, like I just said, and they also related it to Star Wars: The Acolyte and the fact that the witches there, the lesbian witches there, also had a song which, to be frank, was not as good as this one. That was the power of two, the power of many, or whatever the hell it was. Not as fun as clever as last week's one, but still like in that vein, and it just. This is a whole other conversation, but it's just like, y'all, not everything needs to be for you. I get the reason why the outraged merchants glom on to stuff like Star Wars and Marvel is because these used to be properties mainly catered to sort of the presumed predominant, like hegemonic audience that other people would watch as well. Like you market to cis straight white dudes, and cis straight white dudes will buy it, and other people will buy it too. But if you market to anyone other than that, the cis straight white dude audience, a certain segment, I shouldn't say, not all, will not pay attention to it or get actively angry about it, as we see with the outraged merchants on this show. But it's just sort of like, y'all, if you don't like music in your stuff, like, fine. Not everyone likes musicals. Hell, I'm not a big musical fan, but like, come on, that song was a banger, as was Agatha All Along in the original WandaVision. Like, some people just have no joy in their heart. Anyways, enough about the outrage merchants. I just find sometimes it fascinating to just see what they end up glomming onto. Let's actually talk about the episode proper, as it deserves to be taken on its own terms. This is another great episode of the show. I am really liking this series so far, which is again, I don't want to say not dissimilar to other Marvel shows, because I certainly liked other Marvel shows after a few episodes, and I usually found them going downhill after a while, but this one does really feel like it has just a strong episodic structure that a lot of other Marvel shows just did not have. I think WandaVision really, and like What If, are really the only ones that did have a strong episodic structure. And here we have, really seems like it's set up to be every episode is going to be another one of the Witch Road trials, or at least for the next foreseeable future. And I think that is a fantastic setup for the show, because this one, I had a lot of fun with what this trial was. And that's an easy structure to build the show off of. And I think this provided a lot of fun dynamics for our characters. We get this sort of like suburbanite house, and our characters sort of getting in some suburbanite outfits, and having to start to learn to trust each other and sort of build up their relationships and conversations with each other. And there's a fair few fun dynamics going on here. I think Agatha is easily just the strongest point of the series. She's so duplicitous and just so out for herself that I just find her a lot of fun, and how she just constantly, like, she's the one that knows the most, so they all have to rely on her to survive, and yet she's the one that's least invested in them all surviving together. She only cares what she wants, and I think that dynamic just provides a lot of fun, and Agatha's it's a good time. But I like that this episode is providing her some good pathos that I think is leading into the series in an interesting way. I mean, the most obvious thing is we have the team, and a lot of people are presuming that it's Wicca, Wanda's son, now all grown up. But the show is seeming like it's trying to hint that he might possibly be, and Agatha probably thinks this as well, Agatha's son that she gave to the road. to get the Darkhold and that sacrifice that haunts her that we clearly see in this episode. And I think potentially she believes that that's who the teen is. I don't think that that's ultimately going to be the case. I'm still leaning on it's probably going to be Wanda, but the fact that Agatha thinks that that might be the case, at least having some affinity for him, as we see when she tells him not to drink the poison in this episode, that she chalks up to just him being underage, but I think it's deeper of her wanting to protect him because of that connection she feels, I think is a really great setup, because I think it'll lead to, when the teen's identity is revealed and it might not be her son, some disappointment, some anger, some resentment on her part, and sort of seeing where that ends up leading her character. I think that that's just a fascinating setup for some good pathos as the series goes along, especially if she learns that Teen is the kid of Wanda, the person who put her in this predicament in the first place. So that could easily bring up some really fun, complicated emotions for her. So loving that. Loving the dynamic between all of the witches. I think the one I'm having the most fun with is Sharon, aka Mrs. Hart, as Agatha keeps calling her. She's just so oblivious to what's going on. I think it's just a good time. Just every line that comes out of her mouth is just really, really fun. It is sad at the end of the episode she does seem to be dead, but I would be shocked if she's actually dead, and they'll probably do something at the beginning of the next episode to save her. It might be something with a cost, hopefully, and won't be just like rescue her right at the last minute. But we learned that this trial was definitely for the potions master of the group, Jennifer. So it would be weird if she dies before they get an Earthbound trial, because she's the Earth Witch. Though then again, I guess Teen could theoretically take her place in that spot. But it would be surprising to me if that ends up being the case, and also it would be sad if the most quote unquote innocent and ignorant one of the group is the one that pays the cost most. But then again, that adds some tragedy to it as well. So we'll see where it ultimately goes. I don't think she's really dead, but I hope she's not, because her dynamic with the rest of the group is really great. The other characters I think are good. We're starting to learn a little bit more about Alice. Still, I think she's probably the weakest of the group, not in terms of like characterization, just the fact that we've gotten least out of her. Jennifer, I think it's kind of a central focus here. We get a little hints of her backstory with potentially her husband maybe drowning her in her visions that she gets. I think that, again, we're getting little hints of their backstory. I think that they're interesting overall. But I also like Agatha sort of having to, for her own protection, but still earnestly complimenting Jennifer and saying, like, I believed you were doing good work. And that's sort of what pulling them through. I think that was a strong beat there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think those are sort of the biggest moments. I'm just sort of scrubbing through here to take a look if there's anything else here. I mean, the design of the show looks fantastic. The Witch's Road, which I learned is like a practical design, was really cool. We also got a Mephisto mention, which, given all the theories around WandaVision, was fun to see them overtly reference it, though I guess that means we might not be seeing Mephisto anytime soon in the MCU, because I'm sure they wouldn't allow it to mention if they were planning on doing something specific with him. Though then again, maybe they are. Yeah, like I said, I think that's pretty much everything that I have. It's just a fun episode. Its episodic structure is going well, and I'm enjoying it. What did you think? I'd love to hear all your thoughts down in the comments below. Beyond all of that, my friends, I hope y'all live long and prosper.